Hey, we're live. Welcome,
We are.
everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you may be. We're curious to hear where you are. So, whether you're tuned in via Eventbrite, StreamYard, YouTube, or LinkedIn, just let us know in the comments. And I could hear myself echoing, so I've stopped that. Just in case you're wondering who I am, I'm Savannah Terburg, and I am a community leader for women in tech in the Netherlands. And in my daily life, I work at Unit 4 as a communications program manager. And if you're wondering who's next to me, that's Gabby.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I am also a community leader for Women in Tech, and Savannah and I are teaming up for most events and hosting them together because it's always more fun to do it together. Like she said, please comment on YouTube, LinkedIn, StreamYard, whatever tool you're using to watch us, to show us where you're from. I'm actually seeing someone I know. Hello, Kurtulen. I'm really happy that you could join. So what I do in my daily job is I'm head of product for Roadmap, a small tech startup. And we are super excited to be hosting this event for you tonight. I myself think it's a super, super nice subject. And mostly that's because we're bringing it to you from the Organization of Women in Tech Netherlands. And I'd like to start introducing Kara to you. She's our president for Women in Tech Netherlands, and she will be introducing what we do for Women in Tech Netherlands to you.
So thank you very much, Gabby and Savannah. What I'm going to do is manage the screen just for a moment and bring up a few slides to share to get the conversation going. So bear with me for 1 minute while I bring up some slides to share with you. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see my screen, and I've also turned on the subtitling for you. So for those of you that prefer to read along, you hopefully have that access to do so. So again, welcome to tonight's webinar on the topic of personal power development and Women in Tech Insights as part of our series that we're running every month to bring to you new insights on very important topics for us all in the area of women in tech. Now, for those of you that have never experienced us before, I'm going to walk you through a very short description of, so who is Women in Tech and what are we here to do? So eventually, we are here to close the gender gap in technology. That is the role and our purpose of the mission that we are on. We are an international organization with presence in more than 70 countries today and over 23,000 members. I'm very proud that here in the Netherlands, of those 23,000, we're about 2,000. And so we have done a good job, I think, in bringing the community together of women who are really excited to look at their study, their course of study, or to further their professional development and their career in the field of technology. We're doing this by looking at 5 pillars, if you will, or in fact, 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. And if we think about this from a perspective of leading with purpose and driving through action, we have focused on 5 of the 17 goals in order to create impact in the Netherlands and beyond. Goal number 5 itself, of course, is all about achieving gender equality and empowering women and girls. And if we look at the other 4, we're looking at quality education, decent work and economic growth, so thinking about entrepreneurialism. Also, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, we're looking at science and innovation and social inclusion. And so we're looking at how can we contribute through these goals that in the next 10 years, we have an impact and that we are indeed closing this gender gap and ensuring that we have more women and girls in the conversation in technology. Now, this is an effort, this is a complete team effort, and I'd like to introduce you to a number of members of the core team. And myself, along with Carine de Meyer and Lieke Lam, are helping to lead this team of fantastic volunteers who are all volunteering in this mission, where we have an opportunity in looking at these pillars of outcomes that we want to achieve to run programs like the informative information you're going to get tonight on this webinar, having community events. We are running a role model program, and we'll talk about that in just a minute a little bit more. We have coding opportunities, offering scholarships to individuals to achieve their master's degree in data science and data analytics and cloud administration. And we are also looking at how we can empower individuals through improving their pitching skills, whether you're an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur, finding your voice on the podium, learning how to tell your story, and of course, completing the full circle, particularly for those entrepreneurs among you, in assuring that you receive VC funding. So these are a few of the things that we're doing, and our community leaders, two of those you're meeting here today, Gabby and Savannah, are very much supported through our partner and sponsorships activities, and also through the media and communications. For any of those that are listening that would be interested to join us in this space to help us continue to drive this mission, please don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us that are in this tribe, and we will happily look at how we can incorporate you, integrate you, and include you in what we're doing to drive this mission. So a little bit about this mission, and in fact, the people that are here to drive the mission. I want to make a little bit of a bridge to tonight's conversation on personal power development, because I hope to leave you also with a little bit of an impression on who we are. We recently had an opportunity to team up together on a workshop that was, and I'd like to give the credits to Marjolein de Boer and her company, which is called The Human Factor. And I've given the credit below on this slide so that if you are interested, you can go to her website and learn how to develop also your own personal powers. And what we had an opportunity to do together is we looked at what is our purpose? And I already shared that with you, how we can create an opportunity to close this gap for women in tech. And we want to create more role models also in technology and business. And we also looked at, so individually, what are our passions? What are the values we bring, and what are the talents that we bring to the table in order to look at those commonalities among us within the team, and also what makes us very unique as individuals. And well, I created this little word cloud that you can see that I think highlights a number of the keywords that really describe the passions, the values, and the talents among the team, and some of those that I've just recently introduced to you. And so I want you to think about, if your values also are similar, or you have a similar passion to make a difference and have impact, really getting stuff done. If you have ambition and you care and you have compassion, you have competence and enthusiasm and a really positive attitude, and you bring integrity and trust to what you do. Well, those I would say are the definition of the passions that many of the team members within Women in Tech possess. The values that we're looking at are all around continuous learning, being a champion of others to help them get out of their own comfort zone, thinking about the perseverance that they bring, having a real quest for life, being majestic believers in others, being stoic inventors, curious analytics, and also empathetic motivators. And I hope that maybe these are some words also that resonate with you and could describe the type of personal powers that you may bring in terms of what makes you unique. And last but not least, we're also really looking at, so look at that big picture and be able to appreciate the details within, being very outcome focused and also down to earth. We have some extroverts among us as well as introverts, and we're quite people focused, of course, very discipline driven, and for all inspiration driven. So with that, it gives you hopefully a bit of a sense of who we are as we've been looking internally also on developing our own personal powers. And you have the great opportunity in a few minutes now to learn from two fabulous speakers, Franska and Lydia, who will also share much more with you to help you develop in their way this tonight. As a final closing, I'd just like to share with you the ways you can get in touch with us. So we're across many of the social media channels, from LinkedIn to Insta, Twitter, on the web, and of course on Slack. Join the conversation. And last but not least, I did want to announce that we will be running our role model program once again this year from September until December. And that will take place over the course of one night each month. And it will all be virtual and online. So this time we have an opportunity to reach even more people, to help to develop even more role models and great aspirational women in technology. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my presentation, and we'll be reintroducing Savannah to help introduce the first speaker. So Savannah, there you are.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing what we stand for, Kara. I'm so grateful to have you as our country lead in the Netherlands. You're doing great, and thank you.
Thank you.
Right now, it's time to get ready for the first external speaker of tonight. And it's a great relationship builder with a great personality. Franske van den Dries will be talking tonight. And she will teach us how we can create a high-performance mindset to help achieve success, confidence, and happiness. So who doesn't want that? I'm asking you all to give your full attention to Franske.
Thank you, Savannah. So, my name is Franske van den Dries. I currently work as a client partner for Wrangle. And what I'm about to tell you comes from my own experience, both in my working as well as in my private life. And it might sound recognizable to you, and some of you might even be familiar with the methodology. So whether it is repetition, new insights, or recognition, with this talk, I want to give you some insights in the daily struggle that takes place within our mind, and then show how to apply this understanding to every area of your life so that you can recognize how your mind is working, understand and manage your emotions and thoughts, and become the person you would like to be. So let me start by telling you a story. Once there was this girl who moved from the Netherlands to Rwanda. At that time, an unknown little country in the middle of Africa. And she and her family moved into a small house in a little town called Kilinda, with no electricity and no warm water. In those days, intercontinental moves were different than nowadays. And the family had to wait for 6 months before their furniture would arrive by boat. And so the children had to wait patiently for their toys to arrive. And the kids got less and less happy as they became homesick. And they missed their friends, family, and school in the Netherlands. And it was then that the girl started to think about how she could distract her little brother and sisters from being homesick. And so she started to invent imaginary games. She was imitating local scenery so her brother and sister would familiarize themselves with the Rwandan way of living. And she used everything she could find and evolve it in her imaginary play. They were carrying food on their head, played being fishermen in a self-made canoe, and they made local recipes such as cassava paste. And this was the personal power, as Kara mentioned to you before, that the girl had. She was able to come up with crazy things to make others feel at ease. The neighborhood's children soon started to play along, and by the time their toys finally arrived, the children would feel totally happy in their new surroundings. The girl grew up, the family went back to the Netherlands, and after her studies, the girl went working for multinationals. And she found herself in a surrounding of high pressure, smart people, a winning mindset, international secondments, bonus systems, and a lot of PowerPoints. The girl liked the ambitious scene and loved to be inspired by others. But in trying to achieve the top, she forgot about what she found valuable in life. She did not do those crazy things anymore, and she tried so hard to be one of the rest, and she started to feel less and less happy and confident about herself. She did not get the position she wanted and got frustrated by the system. She turned angry against the world and blamed others for her situation. She was trying so hard, so why didn't it go as she planned? But in reality, the only one who was able to make the change was herself, as she forgot about what were the things that made her happy in life. The only way to achieve happiness and success is from within. And she had to become happy again to achieve confidence in herself. So she had to believe in her own high-performing mindset again, in those personalized elements that would work only for her. And this girl is me. And I am now happy and feel confident about myself. So does any one of you recognize this rat race struggle and being frustrated about yourself? So if you have been in a similar situation, or maybe you're still in such a situation, I would like to congratulate you about this opportunity for personal growth that you're in. And in the next 10 minutes, I am going to explain you about a pragmatic approach that helped me to better understand what made me so unhappy at that time and how I could get control of my frustrations and personal struggles. I am going to talk you through a powerful mind management model that better understands how your brain works. It is called the Chimp paradox, and it's a brilliant, simple model that will help you assess your own behavior, focus on the long term, to communicate better with others and accept who you are. And I believe that this is the key to your success and happiness. So, your brain can be seen as 3 different teams, and each with their own agenda and way of working. We will call the first brain the human brain. And this brain is mainly based in the prefrontal cortex and is responsible for our logic thinking and works with facts and truth. The human brain thinks in shades of gray and operates a balanced judgment. It is driven by self-fulfillment, meaning having a tangible purpose in life. And so, going back to my story, this was me in my childhood. I was close to myself. And this was the girl who saw opportunities, was pioneering, and I was not afraid to fail. The second brain, we will call it the chimp brain. And this is based in the limbic system and is an independent emotional thinking machine that works with feelings and impressions. And it acts without your permission. The chimp is driven by feelings, impressions, emotional thinking, and gut instinct. The chimp quickly jumps to opinions and thinks in black and white terms. Its primary drive is survival, and it represents a primitive and essential part of our human evolutionary development. And this is what happened to me in the rat race. As I tried to be someone I was not, I did not believe in myself anymore. And I got anxious about underperforming and being angry about not being understood. So the human and the chimp brain are 2 separate thinking machines that independently interpret our experiences. And either of them can take control, but they can also collaborate. Although these brains try to work together, they very frequently get into conflict and struggle against each other to gain control, with the chimp often winning. And also without this model, you would probably recognize the differences between your chimp and your human brain in your everyday life. How many times have you talked to yourself, reassured yourself, or had battles within your own head? How often did you have thoughts and feeling that you did not want to have, and even carry out behaviors that you knew at that time are not really what you want to do? So why are you doing this? And how can it be that you don't have control over your thoughts or emotions you have and what behaviors you're carrying out? So how can it be that you are 2 persons at the same time? And more interesting, brain scanners show how the blood supplies in your brain is going to the area that's being used. So if you think calmly and rationally, then we can see blood going to your prefrontal cortex area. The human in your head and you become the person that you want to be and who you really are. And if you become emotional and somewhat irrational, especially when you are angry and distressed, then we see the blood going to the limbic system. And you would usually say that this is not the person that you want to be. But the truth is, the chimp is taking an emotional machine, is overpowering your human mind. And the chimp is 5 times stronger than your human brain. So let's use our brains and do an exercise. Can you go back to a situation in your current working life where the chimp brain was taking over, and one situation where you were using your human brain? You can write it down for yourself on a piece of paper, or if you want, you can post it in the chat, what you see on the right of you. So I will give you 1 minute, and I'm now reaching out to my phone. I will give you 1 minute to reflect on this. So let's start now. "15 seconds left. Okay. So which of these examples was easier for you? There was a timer. So which example was easier for you to come up with? The example with the chimp or the example with your human brain? And probably it was much easier for you to come up with the example of the chimp brain. And that's because it's 5 times stronger. So now that you know the differences between the two brains, let me tell you what worked for me on how to manage this chimp. And let me be clear here. This is not a check-the-box exercise. This is a process that needs continuous attention. And I familiarize myself to integrate this into my daily routines. And it can sometimes be tough. But remember, you always have a choice in life. And it might not always be an easy choice, but you are the captain of your own ship. And one very important thing to remind yourself is you are not responsible for the nature of the chimp, but you are responsible for managing it and keeping it well behaved. You can't change how you were born, but you have to take the responsibility of who you are and who you want to become. So I use this 3-step approach. First of all, recognize who is in charge. The most important thing is to start observing your own state of mind. When you start stressing out, ask yourself, who is in charge here? The human or the chimp? Do I want to feel? Do I want to act like this? Or is the chimp hijacking me? Learning to observe this is the first big step in mastering your inner monkey. The second step is to understand the rules of how the brain works and accept these. And I promise you, life will be so much easier once you start accepting instead of fighting, which I've been doing for a very long time. And the last step is nurture and manage your chimp to get the best results for you. Accept who you are. So, for example, what I did to make this more operational, I created a performance recipe for myself. And this recipe contains a set of instructions for myself on how I want to approach tasks. I made a list of 10 instructions and wrote them down on a piece of paper, printed them out and hung it up on my home office so I could be reminded of it every day. So for example, one of these instructions to myself was, be the change you wish to see in your work. And one on how I dealt with failing, were the instructions to myself is, I never fail, either I win or I learn. So validating now becomes an internal process based on my performance recipe. That means that I no longer see feedback as an emotional charge threat to my chimp brain, but as input that might lead to improvement of my own performance. So, in the beginning, I told you there were 3 teams, and we already discussed the human and the chimp. But there's also a third brain, and I will call it the computer brain. And this brain is a storage for programmed thoughts and behaviors. You are born with an empty hard drive, but during your life, the computer brain is a repository of all your experience. It is a reference source which both the human and the chimp brain look to for guidance when reacting to a specific situation. And it is just like programming, the computer is only as good as the information it contains. The human and the chimp can both put information into the computer brain, and the key is to store helpful information on this computer. And these 3 brains together contains the values and belief by which you live your own life. The beliefs we hold about ourselves, about others, and about the world or the domain form our mindset and influence the way we approach the world. So your mindset is a choice. So I would like to encourage you to spend some time thinking about your own mindset, because it will affect the chimp, the human, and what goes into the computer by distorting your perception of what is happening in everyday events. So coming back to my story, this was the reason for my career move to start working in tech. I was looking for an environment that would match my critical beliefs. An environment that gives me freedom to be creative and pioneering, work with a diverse team with a collaborative and an open mindset, and be in a role with a high level of independence and responsibilities that give me the determination to do the right thing. So as I mentioned, our personalities are formed by a combination of the chimp, human, and the computer. Together they form who you are and how you behave. And your critical beliefs make you unique. Think about the performance recipe I mentioned to you earlier. So the person that you would like to become is the person you already are, but you only have to see it. So let's do another exercise. And let's investigate what your critical beliefs are. And you can do this for the belief that you hold about yourself, about others, of the environment. But for the sake of time, I will now only focus on yourself. So let's reflect for 1 minute on how you see yourself and what do you find important in your working life or personal life. So write it down on a piece of paper again, or write it in the chat if you like, whatever works for you. So I'll give you 1 more minute to reflect on this. Okay. So let's reflect a bit deeper now. My second question to you is, when was the last time that you reminded yourself of the beliefs that are critical to your mindset? And I'm not going to take another minute because you probably know this in a split second. And my last question to you is a takeaway on how satisfied are you of the quality of your answers above? What are you going to do as a result? So give yourself some me time to reflect on this. So having said that, I would like to thank you for your attention. And I hope it triggered something in your brain to want to spend some more time about how you can create a high performance mindset. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Franske, for this super insightful and personal story as well. Looking at the comments section, I don't see any questions at the moment, but Franske is active on LinkedIn. So in case you have any questions coming up after her session, just feel free to reach out to her. And with that, I would like to hand over to Gabby, who's going to introduce our next speaker. Gabby?
Thanks, Savannah. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker. She is a very special lady, and I have to say the first time, Savannah, that we talked to her, I was blown away because she had an amazing presentation on what she does. She is Lydia from Wow Humans, the founder and owner. And what she does is she empowers young talent, especially millennials and Gen Z. She is able to help all kinds of companies work with these new generations because she is all about making sure that there's empowerment. Hi, Lydia. Welcome tonight. We are honored to have you on stage.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
What I should say before we start off Lydia's session is that I will be staying in view. Why? Because we want this to be an interactive session. So we will be asking all of you to comment your findings, because she has a few exercises for you, and to ask questions. And then what I will do is, upon Lydia's mark, I will read some comments, and they will also be shown in the screen. So I would say, please comment, and we will make this an interactive session. It's really great to see so many of you active at this moment. So please make sure that we welcome Lydia and do our best to take what we can out of the session. Lydia, please kick it off.
Super, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Gabby. Hi, everyone. Wherever you are, I see that we have an amazing global participation. I'm in a global speaker stage now, and that's super exciting. Speaking to the global Women in Tech community on behalf of this Women in Tech the Netherlands event tonight. So first of all, a huge thanks to Cara, Savannah, and Gabby for this opportunity. And indeed, when I was choosing a topic for speaking at a truly global online stage, I wanted to share something that is really, on the one hand, meaningful and useful to everyone watching tonight, but on the other hand, something that is deeply true to myself and something that is grounded in my own story, both personally and professionally. So today's topic that I will share with you is empowerment from within. Indeed, my name is Lydia, and I'm the founder of Wow Humans, which is a training and consulting company helping companies and people within these companies to be diverse, human, and just wow at work. And I will be taking you through the topic tonight, and hopefully indeed making it an interactive topic on how you yourself can become your own power of empowerment from within, and how this can transform your work and personal life on a daily basis. And to start with, I want to ask you a simple question. What makes you so you? It might sound as a bit of a strange question, Maybe you think, hey, it's a bit awkward. I know who I am. I know my name. I know my title probably. But I want to ask you to let this question sink in. What makes you so you? If we give up all the titles and all the company names and all of this external stuff, think about it. This is the question that has truly transformed my professional and personal journey and has actually empowered me to start having a fulfilling and also empowered professional life that I couldn't get despite all the previous titles and rewards I had in my career. Now that I'm working with people and companies to build a truly diverse and empowered culture at work, I see that this question can really transform both lives and careers. And tonight, we are going to explore it together with you. And because I so much share Women in Tech's mission to help women embrace technology, but also beyond, embrace whatever they need to really be their best selves, be their wow, I want to share with you some practical tips, some personal story and data that will help you understand how you can become your own source of empowerment. And it starts with this very question: what makes you so you? I will share it in 3 parts today. You'll hear a bit about how my professional and personal journey went. I will also share with you some underlying data and statistics that confirm that starting from within is the way to have a fulfilled and empowered work and life. And we will practice indeed 5 simple steps, 5 questions that I will be asking you that will help you create this empowerment ecosystem from within. And indeed, as Gabby said, I encourage you to reflect, really truly reflect for yourself on some questions that I will ask you. And I will welcome indeed your thoughts. And I think you will be surprised when you see what other people are also sharing about it. So here comes the story. Today, I do what I love to do, really. I work on empowering people. I work with organizations, but it wasn't always like that. I really feel alive doing what I do for work, but some time ago, it was also not the feeling that I have. And my professional story really sounded like a good one. But despite having quite a fast career track in really great companies, which I really appreciated working for, enjoying quite an accelerated growth and having great mentors along the way, I did not feel ultimately empowered and satisfied. All the recognition and titles I did have did not give me the feeling of empowerment. And when the time came to rethink myself, and it was during my maternity leave, I was very clear that despite all the benefits, I didn't want to go back. But I couldn't understand why. And this is something I want to explore together with you. Despite the fact that many of us read nice magazines, read nice articles with advice on how to have a very successful vertical career, despite us following our strength, sometimes purpose and passion, despite going for working for the best companies and having great role models, sometimes we don't feel satisfied. And what I realized is that according to the data, 38% of people, according to the latest data, are not engaged at work. 38%. Only 38% are engaged, I'm sorry. And think about it. 38% is the latest data that we have from Gallup. It's a historically high number. And this number comes only because governments and companies across the world are now taking huge efforts to fight corona, and people appreciate all the efforts that are done and also what their employers do. But this number used to be much lower even last year. Think about it. It means that almost 2/3 of people are not enjoying what they do for work in their daily life. And this is bad. It means that people are not unlocking their true potential. They are not enjoying what they do, and thus the companies are also not having great results. And again, I question why. Why is this happening? But however this shocking and depressing statistic may sound, there is a light in the end of this tunnel. Many companies that have great culture and many engagement surveys that look at people and how they feel at work see that places that enable people to be their whole, real, authentic selves at work are the ones that strive. And not only people working for these companies, like you and me, feel good, but also the companies perform much better. And it means that to enjoy and perform at work, but also in life, we have got to start being our whole, real, authentic, and human selves. And it might sound like no problem, I'm just going to be me tomorrow. But in fact, we have a big bias towards starting to be that real self. When we are normally asked the question of who you are when we meet somebody, we start with the external definition of who we are. We start with telling what our title is, what is the company we're working for. And this is apparently the norm, which leads to a lot of dissatisfaction. It's the externality of these definitions that lead to a big disappointment in the end. And now when I'm working a lot on empowering people, I see that when we are taking this whole self, human, authentic, and internal approach to defining who we are, it leads to a completely different result. So again, I want to repeat, and now with more meaning, what is it that makes you you? I know this question already sounded a couple of times, and I just want to check in with Gabby if we are getting some comments there. What are people saying to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually don't have a lot of comments at the moment. So please, everyone who's watching, please comment on YouTube or LinkedIn what makes you so you. We have a comment that says creativity, maybe.
Okay, interesting. And that is already an answer on its own. When I first thought of this question, it was not so easy to redefine yourself. And I can understand that also maybe it's not so easy for our audience, but I will try to help here. We'll try to offer a couple of practical exercises that hopefully will help us answer this question and build a self-empowering ecosystem from within. So let's practice. When I say the first step to creating an empowerment ecosystem from within is answering this very question, what makes you so you? I know it may not sound easy. And the way I want to propose to you to approach it is also something that has worked for me and I see is working for some people. It's the question to indeed think of what are, for instance, 3 qualities that best describe you. Somebody said it's maybe creativity, but let's give it a moment. Let's think if you are not introducing your name, your title, the company you work for, or the function, but say you are a stranger to somebody and we want to know you by what you transmit. What are the key qualities you as a person can be described by? Let's give it a moment. Maybe with 3 qualities that most describe you, this question becomes easier.
We already have way more comments coming in, Lydia.
Okay.
Do you want me to read some?
Yeah, please share some, Gabby.
Okay, so just starting at the top, we have someone saying, always seeing the positive side of situations.
Mm-hmm.
We have someone saying, engaging with others, even just to chat. We have another person, Odette, saying, being independent and free in my empowerment. I really like that one. We have someone saying that they are empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else says determination regardless of difficult or impossible situation. That's a great one too.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thanks, Gabby, for sharing some of those. I really still encourage you to either think of it for yourself or share with a global community of women in tech, because now it starts to be a little bit easier. I see. Yeah, when we think of the qualities that we have, well, it's probably something that starts to come up easier. We think of that more often. And what I want to share with you is probably these qualities have indeed been formed in your past. And I think also, as Franske has just explained to us, it's also our lizard brain that has really has engraved this specific experiences that have impacted us so much that we start to be who we are. And of course, we can develop and decide further on, but there are some experiences that probably have led to the unleashing of these qualities. So I want to really encourage you to think, when were these qualities formed, through which experiences, and think of it, where in the past did they really start growing in you. Maybe it's something related to your childhood, very, very likely. Maybe it's something in the start or development of your career. Think about it. How did these qualities come through? I also want to encourage you to think whether you are living these qualities in the present, and whether you are manifesting them through your work, and this therefore has an impact on the future. Are these qualities that are defining you part of your present and future, and not only the past? This is the question that I want to give you a bit of time to reflect on, because this is really important. I will explain in a moment why. Are they part of your past, present, and future? Gabi, do we have maybe a couple of comments on that?
On this one, not yet. So I
Not yet.
encourage everyone to think about this and to comment. I am seeing a lot of comments, Lilia. It's too much to read out loud.
Okay,
what I
great.
do see, and maybe you can comment to that while people are thinking, is that a lot of people are actually saying that they are very positive and they have a lot of empathy. And I think that that's the one that I see the most.
That's awesome. And really, to those people saying that, I want to really emphasize the question of, well, think for yourself where and how this was formed in your past experiences, but think even more, and maybe you want to share in the chat whether this is part of your life and work now, because this is very important. I will share also, while people are thinking, how it went for me. For me, the top 3 qualities that I think are describing me the best is a sincere interest in people diversity, and anything is possible mindset, and, well, I think, and people say that I'm a warm person. And this has been formed through my very childhood experience that has been enabled by my dad largely, who in the age of 40, being an ex-submarine captain, has learned English by books, by grammar books and novel books, and has won a grant MBA for naval officers to study in the US for a year. And 40 other officers from other countries with their kids also had a same opportunity. So at the age of 10, I was able to discover more or less the whole world, living and studying together for 1 year in the US. And I can tell you that for a 10-year-old girl coming from a recovering post-Soviet Russia, it was absolutely a mind-blowing experience. I had the whole world together with me. I was going to school with all these kids from these families, and this definitely impacted me very much. Of course, I went on with my career, which was largely related to top Fortune 500 companies, and I was working in procurement, talent management, and sustainability for quite a while. And I don't want to say that I did not enjoy this or appreciate these experiences in procurement, or did not like running global sustainability programs for a large multinational, but I can definitely say that these roles were perhaps grounded in my strength. I am a strategic thinker and I can facilitate some discussions, but they were not grounded in who I truly am and what my top qualities are. So I was feeling that I don't have enough, opportunity to work with people, to explore them. I could not, use my warmth. And for those saying that they have empathy as one of their key descriptors, really want to encourage you to think, are you using something that defines you, truly defines you? Gabi, are we getting any comments from people on that? If they are using
We
the
are.
qualities at work?
Yes, we have a few comments.
Mhm.
Someone saying the past, but not necessarily the future.
All right.
We have someone else saying, yes, it's part of my life right now. Someone else agreed to that, also said it's part of my life right now. And then we have two very interesting comments that I will read to you that I really like. One is from Helen, and she says, it's completely integrated in my work. Humor is part of how I work. Sensitivity helps me listen well and shape the presentation coaching experience. And an ability to just keep going is an expression of my enthusiasm.
Awesome. I really want to congratulate you. And what I want to say is that a bit to what Franske was sharing, it is of course about our mindset, and perhaps you can, with little things, and we'll talk about it in a minute, integrate little changes in your current work that will help you truly ground it in who you are. But maybe it will also imply some change professionally. And for me, I realized it did imply a change, and I really now see that I'm using my 3 qualities now, and starting only from my strength really led to the fact that it got me to feel disconnected partially. So what I want to encourage you and what I want to leave with you here at the first step is think of those 3 qualities, really think well, and have a resonation that they are truly you, and own them. Define where they're coming from in the past and manifest them in what you do, whether this is possible in your present and your future. Then this is the first starting step to feel empowered at work. Secondly, I want to encourage you to rethink the way you are seeing yourself. When I'm saying this, I want to ask you to think about the difference between looking at yourself as a source versus a resource. When we are treating ourselves as a source of something, perhaps those exact 3 qualities of something greater that we want to bring to the world, we are taking really, we're looking at ourselves as something that brings, this passion, this energy to life. And then we're taking care of ourselves as a source. We are taking care of our physical and mental health. We are giving ourselves the time to reflect. We're giving ourselves pretty much everything we need to still be the source of this good that we want to bring to the world. However, when we are looking at ourselves as a resource, just somebody who is going to work, maybe not going today, but doing your work at home, we think of ourselves as somebody of the crowd. Tomorrow I stop this job, I take something new, someone else comes. That's a totally different approach. When we think of ourselves not in this unique way of being a source of something unique for the world, we're starting to really lose energy. We're starting to treat ourselves as a resource as well, very often, physically, mentally, not giving ourselves again the time to reflect. And I want to ask you, for those who want to share, whether you are seeing the difference, first of all, between being a source and seeing yourself as a source for something and being a resource, and if somebody wants to share, which of the two are you now? My story is that for a large portion of my time, I was looking at myself as a resource to achieve some sort of titles, greater positions and roles at work. And I thought that when I achieve some greater state of, related to a title, then I'm going to feel satisfied. And I was treating myself pretty much as a resource to get there. However, the disappointment was when I got the roles I wanted, still I didn't get the feeling of empowerment and satisfaction. And then I realized, hey, I can already now change the mindset that I'm having to being a source, and just being a source of the energy I want to transmit more or less on a daily basis. And now I just want to check in with Gabi. Are we having some answers on source versus resource?
Not yet. So everybody, please answer in the. We have one coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So we have someone saying more a source, it's more satisfying. Being a resource is just exhausting.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. Well, we all know that most of resources are, well, exhaustible. And I really want to encourage people to think on this. Maybe it's not an easy question to share. Well, if I were, in the past years being asked this question, probably I would have an answer for myself, but I wouldn't probably share. So, but I want
We
to
have
leave
some.
you with, okay. I want
So
to.
we have someone saying, I'm human first and
Mhm.
work with and for humans. I really like that one.
Super. Great. Great.
We have someone saying, just switch from source to resource, and that's not comfortable to experience to leave.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I really want to encourage you to think how you're treating yourself and start being the source of whatever came to you in the first question, in the first step. Maybe something else adds on what you want to transmit, a source of what you want to be for the world, and start being the source of it already now and take care of yourself as a source of it. Yeah. The third step I want to offer to you is being around the right people. And when I say right people, I mean those people who are uplifting you to be who you really are. And the little exercise I want to offer you here is thinking of 6 people you talk to or communicate the most. Probably somebody from your family, probably a couple of friends or colleagues, but those 6 people are the ones that largely influence your thinking of the world, your mindset. And I want to ask you to reflect for yourself and maybe share whether these people are supporting and uplifting you to be who you want to be and who you truly are, and making sure they are the right people. For me, I will share that when I came across this idea of rethinking also your network, your closest network, I quickly saw the dotted lines, the influences that I'm getting. And I did work a bit on my network to make sure that, I have more people that are uplifting me, supporting me in the ideas that I want to transmit to the world. And that is a big support, having a tribe that is right for you. Gabi, let me know if there are any comments to this. Maybe it's more of a reflective question.
No comments yet, but like we've seen just now, when we ask the comments, people will start commenting. So again, please comment on the question that Lydia just asked you.
Yeah, and indeed, maybe if this is something you are just reflecting upon now, if you see that your current network or currently the people you talk to the most are maybe not the ones who are exactly sharing your ideas, think of where you can find more people that you would resonate with. And hey, just by the way, I want to share that I think Women in Tech is a great tribe, and you can find many very supportive people here. And this is maybe a chance to get around very, very uplifting people.
We have some comments, Lydia, if you want.
Please go on.
Yeah. Okay. So someone says, absolutely. I make sure it is a two-way relationship of support. Otherwise, bye.
Okay. Super. And that's a hard cut. But I think, yeah, indeed, it takes a reflection, resolution of what is your network about. And maybe sometimes it requires some reshaping. Step number 4 that I want to encourage you is, when you've realized who you are, a source of what you want to be, try to have your network supporting you, is start making small and imperfect steps that are in line with who you are. Here, I'm absolutely sure that whomever has tried doing something new, not vertically integrated with your previous career, you would be together with me in the same boat of imposter syndrome. Even now, I have to say, when I'm sharing this, I know there are people from my previous working life watching this, and they are probably amazed with what I'm talking about. It definitely feels a little bit uncomfortable. And sometimes, of course, in the beginning, you would feel imperfect, and definitely you would make some mistakes. But this is the only way that you can get closer to being empowered and be very true to yourself, be who you are. And the question I want to ask you here is, what is a small step that you could take to start manifesting yourself now? Maybe after this session, maybe tomorrow, but soon enough. What is a small step that that you could take that would truly resonate with you? Maybe it is connecting to somebody you know who's already doing what you want. Maybe it's telling people what are you doing behind stages, maybe, you know, just as a side project to your work. Maybe it's manifesting to the larger community. What is it you do for work? But what is a step that that some of you could share? I know it's sometimes difficult to think of something, you know, what would be my first step if you've never thought of it. But if you are thinking of empowering yourself, trust me, feeding yourself every day of your life with a small step that is probably going to be imperfect will lead you to a much more empowered state. So is there something, Gabby, that our audience is saying on the small steps that they could take?
Not right now, not yet. So please comment on the steps that you will take. I'm actually also thinking myself, Lydia, this is the hardest question you're asking.
Right. And Gabby, here, you know, what I want to say is that maybe and very often the huge changes that could come your way are stopping when we are not making the little steps. So I really deeply want to encourage you to reflect on this, maybe right after the session, but thinking what is the smallest possible step. Maybe it's an email to somebody, maybe a message, maybe putting something out there online that, you know, that you've had already in your folders for some time. What is it that you could do to make your small step in the external world? And this will trigger many changes in the future.
Well, we have someone saying something actually. They responded earlier, so before your question, but maybe you could help them find their asking for examples. So this person says, I am learning how to network for a career change into data analytics right now. So I am reaching out to people I haven't spoken to in a long time.
Bravo. First of all, I want to say bravo, and it's a great step.
It seems that I have lost you, Lydia. Or
Gabby,
my connection is actually bad.
Can you hear me now? Hey, Gabby.
Hey.
Gabby, can you hear me?
I can hear all of you, so I will take over from Gabby while she is reconnecting.
Thanks a lot. And I, well, first of all, want to truly support this person that has shared on the steps for a career change. That is what I hear very often. And indeed, connecting to people that are already in the space where you would like to be is something that is definitely a small but a step that will definitely take you much further as you take this exact steps. For other examples, what I would suggest is thinking, what is it that you would do if you were not afraid or limited by imposter syndrome, for instance? But taking a small step takes a big courage, and the further you add them up, the bigger the change you will experience. And number 5 is the final tip that I have for you is, of course, you all have role models, but I want to encourage you to also have a role model within yourself. What it actually means is whenever you're thinking of, for instance, a difficult situation or what type of person you would want to become, I think it's very important to rethink yourself and have an inner role model, maybe a future role model, and think, how would you describe yourself as your own future role model? Because this way, when we clearly describe, maybe through several qualities like we did in the first question, maybe through some other things, when you build up this prototype of your own role model, you always have the best advisor within yourself. These 5 steps are adding up to the Aspire model, as I call it. being your authentic self, being a source, connecting to people that are right for you, making imperfect small steps, and having a role model within leads us to this inner empowerment. And to me, this is how you can aspire to yourself and be your inner source. This is what I wanted to share with you. And thank you for being with me and for sharing also some of your comments and ideas. And maybe I just want to ask if there are some other questions that the audience has. And it's really a pleasure to be connected to a global and very vibrant Women in Tech community.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I think you can call yourself a role model for sure for giving us this amazing presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it and I learned a lot. We have one general question that I will read to you. Maybe if Kara could take out your presentation and put you in full screen, it might be easier for people to see you. Lots of people already saying thank you also, by the way. So we had one general question from Helen, and she actually asked a very good question, I think, which is, how do you actually move from resource to source? So how do I get there?
Right. Thank you for this question. And it implies basically starting with step one. Yeah, you have to really deeply define what is it that is true to yourself, maybe through past experiences, maybe through qualities like we try to do in the very first step. And that was the starting point for me, for instance. And when I realized that, well, the qualities I want to offer to the world and the energy I want to offer is something worthwhile sharing. When you start to look at yourself as a source exactly of something that other people may need and enjoy and have an impact on the world, then I think this change starts to happen automatically. You start seeing that you have something unique to share, and then just reminding yourself, hey, I'm a source of it. I should take care of myself as a source. I'm almost an Evian or a spa or whatever source of greater good.
Could you share for people to make it even more clear your personal story of how you moved into feeling yourself as a source? So what was that for you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, as I try to share in my presentation as well, I had a nice career. One would probably say it's nice with global companies on regional and global roles in diverse fields. And this diversity of my career path, starting from talent management to procurement in a large portion of my career, then managing strategic sustainability projects on a global scale for a large and very nice company, I realized it was a search for, first of all, connecting to myself personally. And when I finally started to really sink into the bottom of who I am, I realized I can definitely use all of the experience I had in the past, but transmit what is true for me. And when exactly, I started to realize, hey, well, people apparently enjoy when I help them become empowered. There are companies that need some advice or training on how to set up a culture of empowerment at work. And when we're talking diversity, and I know Women in Tech is largely about diversity, I think it cannot start actually happening without empowering your people. Otherwise, you just have diversity for numbers, I guess. But you have to help people be themselves, and then they will appreciate and perform at their best, but also enjoy what they do.
That's amazing. So that's your mission.
I think so.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for sharing. Same goes, like Savannah said, for Franska. She is reachable all over. She is on LinkedIn, and she has her email just shown on the screen. You can find it afterwards as well. Thank you so much, Lydia. I'll give the word to Savannah now.
Yes, wow, this was so much fun. I wish this could go on and on and on with more questions. And I was loving all the interaction we had with the audience. Thank you all so much for commenting, and we truly appreciate your support of joining our session. We definitely hope that you will join us for any future sessions. I would also like to thank our speakers, Kara, Franske, Lydia, super well done, thank you. And I wish you all a wonderful night, evening, day, whatever. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.